Adam, happy birthday.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Again?
Yeah, something like that. Don't really celebrate them too much when you get to my age now, but yeah, thank you very much.
It's a cold one, isn't it, today? How much training have you been able to do with the boys, or how much training have you been able to do this week?
Yeah, still been able to find areas here and there. Managed to get one of the cage pitches out the front here of the stadium for Monday, which wasn't too bad because it's a bit of a lighter day for some. So we had a small group in there. Yeah, managed to get on to Astro for the last couple of days. So yeah, managed to get our work done, and definitely no complaints our end.
I suppose it's the same for everyone, isn't it? It's up and down the country, this cold snap. If we look ahead to Saturday at Maidenhead, I don't think there's a good chance, I suppose, this game could be off. What's your how would you find out that the game was in doubt, and what would you do if it was off?
Yeah, I think we're making all the provisions really, but yeah, you still got to treat it like it's going to be on, and I can't see them making a call till Saturday. So by that time we'll already be down, staying in the hotel Friday. So I think it might be a case of getting something provisionally booked closer to where we're staying, just as a provision, because we want to train if the game doesn't go ahead.
For supporters, of course, it's all really inconvenient and a bit of a nightmare this time of season when the cold weather bites. Is it the same for players and for people who are working within football?
I think so. You just want to keep some momentum and keep the games on, especially on the back of a defeat. You want the next game to come around quickly and try to put the wrongs of that defeat right. So yeah, the longer that drags on, the worse it is really. So yeah, it's not ideal. We've had it already once where supporters have travelled over to Oldham and got over there and the fog's beating us on that day. So yeah, it's disappointing. Probably more so for the supporters, their time and effort. I think it's part and parcel of being a footballer and involved in football. You've got to be able to deal with it, and whatever the situation is, be ready. And that's got to be us for Saturday.
You say they probably won't make a decision until Saturday. Would you be in favour of, I don't just mean in this particular occasion, but in general, decisions being made a little bit earlier, even if there is the doubt that you could end up getting to the Saturday afternoon and the game maybe would have been playable? Do you think football in general needs to do a little bit better around games that are called off? Potentially.
I think we're past now, I think, the old days of the weather forecast. So I think these days they're a lot more accurate in what they're telling you, I believe. And I think you can look into that. Obviously, fog's a bit of a different one, difficult one to judge, but in terms of whether the pitch is going to be playable or frozen or not, I think the forecast is relatively good nowadays. So yeah, I don't think you're going to get too many occasions where they predict a cold snap and it'd be glorious sunshine and you can play games of football. So for the supporters, I think it's would be better if you look at Friday, the pitch is frozen and it doesn't look like in the forecast it's going to get any warmer. Then maybe common sense could prevail and you could get a decision made on a Friday, and yeah, it would be better for everybody that way. So whether that's the case and it can happen or not, then I don't know. But I think teams just try to give it as long as possible because they want the games to go ahead as well. We're obviously a big club, and Maidenhead will do better financially if the game's on a Saturday than a Tuesday potentially. So it works in their favour to do all they can to try and get the game on. So I do see it from that side as well.
You already mentioned what happened on Saturday. Was the first part of this week about putting that to bed, and how do you do that? Yeah,
we got to get to work quickly. We've worked hard this week. We try to prepare like we can for Saturday. Obviously, yeah, a big disappointment going out of the cup, and really not too many times this season where you've had it where you're on the side of the pitch and you've got 400 or 500 fans all around you and feel like you sort of let them down a little bit, and that was definitely the case on Saturday. I thought first half we was good, didn't take our chances, but second half, obviously got gifted a bit of a goal, and we didn't do enough to work their goalkeeper. I think the only real time was from a deflected cross that the keeper made an unbelievable save, and it's one of them. I think as soon as he saves that, you go, might not just be our day today. And but it wasn't from the want of training. We definitely tried to progress in the competition, and like I say, we give Gainsborough the utmost respect, and they should take all the credit for getting the win and going through in the competition.
You were probably as angry as we've seen you after the match. What was it like in the dressing room? What sort of a manager are you? We always hark back to say this about Alex Ferguson times where he would throw teacups and he'd get really stuck into his players. But you've got to choose when you do it. You can't do that every week, can you?
No, you most certainly can't. But yeah, I think I can't hide when I'm disappointed when we lose games, and it does sit with me, and still mull it over now what I could have done better and differently. And until that next game comes around and you get that next win, it still lingers with you. But it's a case of not always me. I think Gary had his bit to say on Saturday and tried to put it back on the players as well, and let them have their own discussions as well and run the dressing room and get things off their chest that they want to improve on. But we haven't had to do it too many times this season. Like I say, first half I thought there was some really good passages of play, and we didn't quite have that cutting edge really in the final third on the day to put the game to bed. And when you don't do that, it can come back to hurt you, and it proved the case on Saturday.
So it's Maidenhead at the weekend if it does go ahead, a side that you comprehensively beat here just over a month ago. Is that the danger looking ahead to this weekend, though, that we know they're so much better generally on their own pitch? Yeah,
completely different game at their place. I think they play their pitch well, and it's a completely different atmosphere. We definitely won't be looking too much into the previous encounter. They've got a manager with years of experience, and he'll be looking to put things right. And it's a good chance for us to do the double. I think it's the first double that we've got the chance of doing this season, and over a team. But like I say, it's a completely different challenge altogether. We've got to be ready for that. How they play caters and sets up a bit more to their home pitch, and maybe how we play caters a bit more for our home pitch. So you're obviously going to cater for your home pitch a little bit better because you play more games on that. So completely different contest, tough game, real tough game. Maidenhead away, it's one that you look at and go, if you get anything from it, you're delighted, and that'll definitely be the case come Saturday.
Well, I know there's a relatively big slope on that pitch. Does that play into your thinking ahead of this game? How do you prepare for when you're going to find slightly different surroundings to what you're used to? A little bit, and you look at the challenge that the opposition might pose. Obviously, Maidenhead will be a different proposition to what a Rochdale might be, and you've got to be wary of that and prepare for that. I think it'd be naive to go into the game and not expect them to have a good spell of the game, being the home team. So you've got to be prepared for what the opposition might bring, and we're definitely reflecting in our choice of selection over the next couple of games is dealing with that threat of both opposition. And is part of that selection working out whether Josh Stones comes straight into your starting 11 or has to bide his time and maybe watch from the sidelines for a little bit and see how you want your team to play?
No, yeah, he's obviously had a good couple of sessions, but I think it's going to take him time. It's not like he's coming from a team that plays completely the same sort of style. It's a completely different style that he's come to, and it's going to take him a little while to adjust to that. I think he'll be the first to admit that training might have been a bit different to where he's come from, because teams set up differently, and we've all got our own ways and different ideas of how the games should be played and how you can win games of football. There's not always the same style, so yeah, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer for someone coming from a different style, and we've got to give Josh time. Even Ollie's been superb this season, but didn't come straight in and hit the ground running. Took him a while to adjust, and I'm sure the same will be for Josh as well.
Is that a concern as well for you then, as a manager, choosing who to pick? It's worked so well for you this season as playing that 4-2-3-1 formation with Ollie Pearce up there. You don't really want to disrupt something that's really been working for you, do you, if you don't need to?
No, there is that, but then certain games as well. we not averse to changing our formation to suit what the game might entail. So, although that's worked well for us with just the one up top, then there's been times this season where we've changed mid-game to a two, and it sort of helps us as well. So, we've got to be flexible, and I think having Josh in allows us to be that. And we can definitely mix up our shape a bit now. We can definitely play with two up top. Dippo can come into that as well and play as an out-and-out striker. I think Ashley, Nathaniel George and Ty could equally do well as a wing-back. So, there is the make-up within the team to go to a three as well. Being adaptable to different shapes is something that I really like to be, and to have those options in the team to do that really helps.
I think that's something we've seen every time we see a team sheet comes out. There's obviously that first few minutes where you're trying to work out who's going to be playing in which positions and what formation you're going to play. Which, if we see York City every week having to scratch their head a little bit at times, opposition managers and squads must be having to do the same as well.
That's it. Yeah, I'd like to keep you all on your toes and keep you guessing. Obviously, Ricky playing at left back, no one probably would have seen that, but he moved back to centre back and done so well. Got man of the match from that position, and he's defended well. Ricky's played left back in a team that's kept a clean sheet against Gateshead, who renowned for scoring lots of goals. So he's done really well there. So we've got different options, and we can move players about, and like I say, different games will suit different types of formation, different types of players, and I believe we've got the personnel to be able to change that now, which is really good. And it's down to us to come up with the right answers now and come up with the right game plan for each game.
We spoke about Dippo at full time as well. I don't want to go over all ground, but you said that you need to manage his minutes. Is he available for this weekend? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's trained brilliantly this week. So yeah, he's ready to go. Marvin Armstrong as well. Callum Howe. That would have really benefited, and you can see that they benefited from a bit of a rest. Like I say, their load in particular in the last game was really high. It's important that we find that load, but also manage them and pulling players out at the right time when the potential of an injury can occur. Prevention's better than cure, and pulling them out at the right time and is so important, and that's why we've got the data. That's why we have the GPS and that, and Ollie and Sam on that side of it do a great job for us to make sure that we've got the players fully fit and ready to go, and they're not overloading too much.
Is there anyone who's not available for this weekend?
I think the only one would be Ryan Featherfield. I think he's had a slight pull of his hamstring in training, which is a blow. Again, would have been his first 90 in a while on a heavy pitch, and on the Tuesday probably overexerted it a little bit and just overstretched to try and block a shot like he does. He trains with so much intensity, and that's what we like about Ryan. When he come on the other day in the Gateshead game, made 2 unbelievable tackles, and having him around the squad, see it for the first time today was a miss. So it is a miss having Ryan. The extent of the damage we're not too sure on, but it could potentially be 4 to 6 weeks that with Ryan. So it's a bit of a blow. Yeah,
big blow for him, of course, as well, as you rightly say. And we saw Morpeth announce the signing of Liam Gibson-Booth last week. I think Bill Marshall played as a trialist for Scarborough last night. Yeah. Has he now left the football club?
Yeah, so them 2 lads' contracts were sort of up, and I feel they've improved loads, and they've really benefited from going and playing and getting minutes, and 2 good young lads. Got nothing but admiration for their characters, but just felt they was a bit too far away from getting minutes with us. And I think sometimes you've got to be honest with these players, and it's important that they go out and carve their own careers, and they can go and do that now. But definitely 2 players that will be silly not to keep an eye on and monitor. But we've got a duty of care to be honest these players as well, and I think that's probably a bit too far down the line of getting near our starting lineup. But yeah, two great lads, and I wish them nothing but success in their careers, and two lads that we'll definitely monitor moving forward.
Yeah, I think they're two of the lads that you took to Solihull, aren't they, at the end of last season. Again, I suppose it just shows how big that leap is from youth team football to first team football, and until, if York City do get into the EFL without the funding as well, to bridge that gap is just so difficult.
It is. We really want to push our youth players and give them a pathway. At the same time, it can't be football for all. They're probably a little bit come unstuck because of how far the team's involved and developed in such a short space of time. We're now looking for players that are probably more ready for League Two and top end of the National League, and that's changed even in the last 6 months since we come in. So that's what we want to keep on pushing towards. And like I say, they're two great lads, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're next season playing week in, week out at National League North level, and we've got to keep an eye on it and pushing for a National League team. And we want to keep on pushing and be the top end of the National League now, and pushing for League Two. So I think the golf and the steps moved even further, and players got to come with that, and I think them two can, but it's probably a bit of more of a longer process.
You've talked about players now that you would look forward, need to be ready for the EFL. Are you likely to bring in anybody in the next, anyone else in the next week, or anyone else going to be leaving in the next few days?
We're constantly sort of looking at it. Matt, the owner of the club, Matt's come back in, and Julianne are back, so we'll definitely sit down and have a meeting and see what the squad looks like. We had a brief one the other day. Tony McMahon's been ill, so when he's back, we'll sit down and see what the squad looks like in depth. But I think it's in a good place. We've obviously got David Edgerboy's loan come in towards an end pretty soon, so we'll look for what that looks like. Have a good chat with him and see where he's at with it. Obviously his contract's up at Peterborough, I believe, at the end of the season, so we'll have a look at that. We don't want to take someone if they're not going to add to the squad. I think it's important that we keep players playing and getting minutes. So obviously, the likes of Thierry and Ollie Dyson can getting their loans extended. I think it's important, and Dara's coming back, so probably be one that we'll look to loan out until the end of the season and get some regular game time.
If you do loan him out, then does that leave you a little bit short at the back, especially with Ryan being injured?
Yeah, I think we've got Cooksy's going to be available next week. We've got Cam John back. We've got Jeff King as well. So, and then we've got Ricky that's been playing in around the back line. So Joe Phillips can play right back, left back. There is some options. I think with Cooksy being available, he should be available for the Rochdale game. He's trained well this week, so probably a bit too soon this Saturday, but should be available for next week. Comes at a really welcome time.
We know how much you like Luca Thomas. He's obviously gone back to Leeds now. Is that dead in the water now? Is he not going to be returning?
It's again one to look at. Obviously the game's come thick and fast, and he obviously missed a little bit of training last week because of illness, which was a bit of a shame. Didn't probably get to say goodbye to Luca, and real player that we like. Again, though, I think 20-year-old lads, 21-year-old lads needs to be playing games, and if we can't offer that regular game time, especially with Josh coming in, then something we've got to look at as well. But top guy, top player, and definitely one that we'll keep a close eye on.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Adam.
Hiya.
Obviously a disappointing result of the weekend, but the one positive, I guess, was the return of Darryl O'Connor and Cameron John. How have they both sort of recovered, and how impressed were you with, particularly with John, because I think he played over the hour in the end? Yeah,
we got a bit more out of him, pleased, and I think offers us so much having that natural sort of balance on the left hand side, and just one to look at. Obviously, it's a very hectic month now. Saturday, and then we've got about 6 games, I think, in close succession. So probably not a player that can play Saturday, Wednesday. So we've got to be careful of when what games he can play in and what games he can't play, especially for this first month. So yeah, I don't think if he plays on the Saturday, you're going to see him on the Wednesday. But yeah, great addition to have back in the squad.
You mentioned Adam Crooks coming back. As someone who's obviously had an injury in pre-season, missed a lot of the start of the season, came back, picked up another injury. How do you sort of go about making sure that there's not another injury in there and just maintaining his presence in the squad? Yeah,
it's a tough one. Got to sort of manage him probably similar to Cam John and Len as well. Come back from a hamstring injury. Probably not going to be available Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever the case may be. But yeah, week to week, really, and just he's come back from one injury and picked up another one in his groin. So frustrating time since I've been at the club. Crooksy's been, excellent when he has played, but probably haven't had him available enough. So top player, top guy, and frustration for him as well as us, really, that he's not been able to feature as much as what we liked.
I know with the addition of Josh Stones, there's been a lot of talk about where he'll fit in, the formation, things like that. How much work do you do in training to have sort of a plan B with a different formation, for example? How much work sort of goes into that?
Yeah, I think we sort of work on different formations throughout there and what it might look like and what we might be able to have plan A, plan B, if you like. A lot of our work's geared around our formation and our style and how we want to play. We try and balance that with, giving the players a little bit, so we're not just feeding them different shapes every day. Try and get the balance right. But yeah, we do spend a lot of time on our shape and how we want to play. So yeah, it's, like I say, it's going to take a while for Josh to get to grips with how we want to play, but I'm sure when he does, we've got a real exciting player.
Do you think it's an attraction to strikers? With the work you've done with Ollie Pearce in the past, obviously he's become an incredible striker at this level. Do you think that's an attraction to players coming into the club, and particularly to strikers, because they know that you know how to get the best out of them?
Potentially, I wouldn't know. It's not something first question I ask to anyone that comes in, really. But yeah, I honestly don't know, and I wouldn't take all the credit for the work that I've done with Ollie Pearce. He's got to take a lot of that credit himself. He's pushed himself over the years and seen him evolve and really mature as a player. And yeah, he's worked hard on his game himself. So I think there'll be their opportunities for players, and it's down to them to work as hard as what Ollie's done to get the same sort of rewards.
You spoke a few weeks about potentially offering contracts out to players if there was interest in them or if they impressed you. Are you any closer to making those moves, and have you started considering the players who run out of contracts at the end of the season yet? Yeah,
again, that's conversations that we'll be having very soon, what the out-of-contract players look like in terms of offering new ones, and yeah, try to have discussions with them around that sooner rather than later. And some that the rest of them are pretty much in contract for this season and next season as well, because obviously there's quite a few new players into the building this summer. Don't think there's many that signed 1-year deals, so we've got the nucleus of the squad that we've got this year ready to go again for next year. But we'll have those conversations in due course if we feel we need to.
With the academy players leaving the club, Marshall and Gibson, I appreciate it might not be your job with them, but does work go into it where the club will help them find a new club, if that makes sense? Is that the job of Tony McMahon?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all of us, really. We want to be a club that if you sign with York City at a young age, whether it's into our youth team or as a pro, if you like, that we've got a bit of duty of care when they do leave. So even I had a conversation with lads, had spent about 2 months with them towards the end of last season, but you still wanted to do all you could to try and help them with clubs. It's the same with Billy and Leon. I think Tony's sorted out Leon getting a deal where he's really liked and playing regular football, which is important. And yeah, we've arranged Billy to go in at Scarborough on trial, and if it doesn't work out, the door's open there for him to come and train, and we'll have somewhere for him to train and keep ticking over. We've got a duty of care to these players, and we're not just going to brush them to one side and wipe our hands with them. Far from it. I want nothing more than Leon and Billy to go and play regular football, and us to potentially look at signing them in a year's time, whatever. But when they're a bit closer to getting our first team, and that was the conversation with them. Definitely not a case of just wiping our hands and showing them the door and then that's it, the door's shut. We definitely want to make sure that they're getting regular football and they're in a good environment as well, and it's duty of care on our part to do that.
And last one from me, I know he wasn't available in the reverse fixture, but to your last fair now going back to Maidenhead, I assume he can't play against your side?
Yeah, under the assumption he can't play again. I think it's the same agreement, but yeah, one I'll have to check with Lisa when I go down in a bit.
Brilliant,
thank you.
Happy birthday again.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So quick questions from me.
Yep.
How do you feel about the last weekend game that you had against Gainsborough? Obviously you're going into this weekend, unfortunately, without a winning streak now.
No, yeah, obviously it was a break from the league action, but you want to keep momentum and keep winning games of football, and wasn't able to do that. But one thing I would say about these players is whenever they have had a setback and a defeat, they've responded well, and that's credit to them. And we want it to be no different. We want to start another little run and go on a little run of winning games of football. But yeah, very tough month, tough place to go starting Saturday, and we've got to be better than we was at Gainsborough to get anything.
And saying it's a tough month, does that also include the weather as well? Is that sort of playing a big part into how you guys are playing? Yeah,
I wouldn't use it as an excuse of how we're playing, definitely not. We take full responsibility for that. There's been no excuses. I thought, if anything, Gainsborough's pitch was brilliant. I thought the ground staff there done excellent to get the game on, and we complimented them on that before the game. But yeah, it does hinder a little bit. We get to train in a cage pitch because it's the only place that was without snow on it on Monday, but it is what it is. We still managed to train. I'm sure we're not the only club having those difficulties finding a venue to train, so we have managed to train and get our work in. We're happy with the load that the players have got into. We need to do our final preparations now Friday, and we'll be ready for the game. There'll be no excuses, but we're just hoping now that we get these games on and the weather doesn't hamper us too much.
And how are you looking at Saturday? What do you think of Maidenhead, and how do you think your team will be able to perform?
Like we spoke about already, different proposition at home than away, so yeah, we definitely won't look at the home game here a couple of weeks ago and have any bearing on the game Saturday. It's a different animal when you go to Maidenhead, and we've got to be prepared properly and make sure that we're not just assuming that the last fixture, last encounter has got any reflection on this one, because it won't have. And real tough game. I think it's one of those games that you start out the season and you look at Maidenhead and you say, if you can come away with that game with anything, you're really happy. So we'll be no different heading into Saturday.
That's everything.
Thank you.